My name is Nathan. You call me Nate, I won't even blink, but I've not made a video like this quite before. It's about caregiving um, in the journey that I've been through for the last few weeks and for the last few months. It has been, and years, because caring for my father goes back a long time. Um, but he had a stroke on August 3rd of 2022, and caring for him was difficult. I instantly became his nurse and caregiver, excuse me, because nobody else could do the job. And he always told people that if something happened to him, he would want me to be the one to take care of him. Because I've had some medical training and experience, and I had taken some classes, and you know, I didn't know how to give an injection or clean a wound. Wound care is my specialty, and I did end up having to do that. Um, he had a really bad wound that I got healed up to completion. It was fully resolved by the time it was all done. Took a little bit beyond 2 years, 2 years and 1 month, but got it healed. But further along into the story, but basically, I'm making this video because it's I need to start journaling what I went through and the difficulties, and just how incredibly hard it was. I can honestly say, caregiving for my father, being his nurse, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. I very rarely had time for myself. I always put him and my mother first before my needs, and though I never went to bed hungry many times, maybe a handful of times, 3 or 4 times, it was because I chose to, because I wanted to make sure their needs were met. And once their needs were met, I was usually so tired, but that I, so exhausted that I could just drop off to sleep if I went to bed. And I knew that if I didn't go ahead and eat, I would get too tired to eat, and so I would usually throw some food down my stomach and then go to bed. But there were a handful of nights, 3 or 4 nights, where I thought to myself, do I eat and be too exhausted, maybe possibly to sleep, or do I go ahead and sleep and just go to bed hungry? And there were a couple of 3 nights, maybe 4 nights, that I went to bed and chose sleep over food because I just was that tired. So it happened. Caregiving is hard, and if you're watching this video, there's a strong chance that it's come onto your timeline because you are also a caregiver, or are a part-time caregiver, or thinking about it, or you may have to be. But to the people who are knee-deep in it, it's now their life. They've been doing it for a few months or years, and it can feel like you're trapped. And it can feel like you're misunderstood, and it most certainly can feel like the system is not very helpful, because it's not. There are some resources like home health, but they can only do so much. At the end of the day, you're the person who's responsible, and that means you're the one who's going to sacrifice your personal time, your social time, your entertainment, even the food you enjoy. You're not going to sleep as well, because a 24/7 care patient, if that's the kind that you have, and my father was, will need 24/7 an eye watching at all times. I had a bedside monitor that I could talk to him and watch through with him and communicate and know if he needed anything. And I'd get up out of bed on average once every hour and a half and get very broken sleep to take care of him. So I do know what that's like, and if you're going through that too, and you're watching this video, I want you to know that you're not alone. There are other people out there doing it, and that may be a little consolation, but know that it does help to know that there are people out there, and you're like part of a group. It's like a family. We all even have certain lingos and terms for some of the things. Like LO means loved one, and it is very difficult to find resources. It's difficult to find support groups. There's some on Reddit, but those are good. There's nothing wrong with those, but nothing beats sitting down and just watching someone share and say, "This is what I went through, and this was how difficult it was." This is, like I said, this is the first time I've ever done something like this, to share my feelings, to get it out there. I haven't been to therapy yet to go through it all, but uh, to put it sweet, and I'll go to at some point in the future. I'll go through things maybe in a linear way about how things started versus how they ended, but I cared for my father from beginning to end, like I promised him I always would, that I would care for him all the way up until the moment of his passing. Because he always said to me, Nathan, I don't want to die alone, and I couldn't promise him that I would be there 100%, but that I'd make every effort to. And as it turned out, that's exactly what happened. I was with him, and I was the last person to see and talk to him. But with that comes some trauma, and I have to go around carrying this trauma in me and figure out how to live with it, and that's not easy. And now I may turn around and 8 months later have to do the same thing with my mom. She may be ready for hospice soon. I actually don't know. We'll see. I hope not. I hope I can keep her going for 10 more years, but I also want her to have a high quality life. But people don't know until they've actually done caregiving and nursing what it's like. They only have an idea from the outside. It is the most exhausting work a human being can ever do, and you just have to do it to know it. It's real easy to think you know, or maybe even be a really empathetic person and say, man, I sure do feel bad for that person. I can just imagine how hard it would be. You don't really know until you get up out of bed when you don't feel like it. You've got no energy to, but you get up anyway because there's nothing else you can do except, some really dark place where you don't want to go down that road, because you know good and well if you do, there would be nobody to care for your loved one. So I know exactly what it's like to be exhausted and force yourself to get out of bed because you got to. That person needs you in that moment. Boy, do I ever know that. And I did. I got up every single time my father needed something. And same thing for my mother, because I was caring for my mother. She just needed much less care than my father did. My father was 24/7 care patient, and my mother not so much. I could kind of let her, on some level, take care of herself and give my father the lion's share of the attention. And then all my needs went to the back seat. I came last, and I had no problem with that. So, but I'm just kind of getting this first video out there to share and say, you're not the only one. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you've got someone in your life, or you know someone who is in your life who's having to do this, and you're seeing the difficulties, or you're living the difficulties. And I don't even really necessarily know what the purpose of these videos I'm making them for are. Maybe it's just for me to share so I can get all this off my chest. I'm usually the kind of person that likes to keep things really, really close. Like to keep them right here and just go and or I'll just kind of bottle up and just take it, because I've always been the quote unquote tough one who just handles it and deals with it and does what needs to be done and gets the problem solved. And I get that from my father. But I have a friend of mine who recently said, ain't nothing wrong, not a thing wrong with sharing and putting it out there. As long as you're comfortable. I'll admit I'm a little uncomfortable, but I just want to start the process and get something out there for people to see. So I may start a little series, or like make some more future videos on this, but just please, if you're out there, I'm looking square into the camera. If you're out there watching my eyes and listening to me speak, know that you are not alone. There are other people out there who are going through this, and yeah, the system is not set up for this at all. At all. It's quite a disadvantage. I got lucky in that I was able to get some things worked out financially so that I can continue to care for my father and he not end up on Medicaid and in a nursing home, having lost everything. I was able to keep him out so he got to spend the rest of his days at home with his family. But not everybody else is so fortunate. And there are some resources, and maybe I can share some of that stuff moving forward in the future so people have some place to go to get some answers on some level. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Thank you for taking the time. If you watched this far, I bless your heart, because I really did not intend on making a video like this. I'm really tired. I think I'm going to go lay down and take a nap, because now I've got my mother that I need to take care of. But thanks for watching. My name is Nate.